Ahoy, you salty sailors. Time to raise anchor and set sail for your best scrawny life. Arrgh.
Alright, so here we are on the side of the road, back with the Apiaceae. This is wild parsnip, of course. That's what the leaf is like. And the umbel with the yellow flowers in this case. There is an edible parsnip underneath there if you dug up the root. But of course this plant is one where the juice, if it gets on your skin and is exposed to sunlight before you can wash it off, it will result in a chemical burn. Now once we get down to the stream here we can see a whole bank covered with poison hemlock. So this would be poison hemlock as well. It's a good look at the leaf. You'll notice the purplish, it's got kind of a pale green stem but with some purplish blotches on it. And there's the umbel, that's what it looks like in flower. There's just no such thing as too many warnings about how poisonous this plant is. It is one of the most poisonous plants in the world. A very small amount would be a fatal dose. Here's another Apiaceae family member. Common name is goutweed. Apparently was used in the treatment of gout in previous times. The leaves of this plant are edible. You'll notice the leaf attachment to the stem is a little bit different. And that is the really small flowers. Here's a plant we featured in a previous episode, Osmorrhiza longistylus, or honest root. Has the seed pods developed now. Alright, Lake Belvedere. This is about the peak of the curly leaf pondweed emergence. It can be tough to fish through, but the amount of plants are what makes the water clear, and it provides good habitat for the fish. That's the reason why the fishing is so much better there than in similar lakes that don't have those. You know, that have grass carp and are stripped of all the plants. Yeah, it's tough in the summer when that pondweed emerges, but just remember that crappie spawn in the spring and how good it is, and you'll see why. You know what that habitat is an important thing. The pondweed is emerging just when those newly hatched crappies need it the most. In this particular case, this is early June. We had sunfish. It looked like a lot of them were done nesting, but the red ear had not come on the nest yet. But there were still some bluegills on the nest, but not a whole lot. Most of them appeared to have finished already, and we had some green sunfish on the nest. The kids had fun catching those around the dock, and the adults. So the nests are on an inside weed edge. See, I'm sitting on a weed bed. There's an outside edge behind me, but some guys were actually bass fishing that outside edge. And that's where you'd probably find the crappie now. But the inside is where the bluegill nests are, the inside edge between the bank and the weed line. Of course, we have the tree swallows, one of my favorite birds, and they live there in great abundance. There's a lot of alder flies in that lake too. All right, this is Driscoll's Island just outside of Sabula, Iowa. The Mississippi River Palisades are just off to the north, up in that direction. That's the town of Sabula. You can see down here, we've got some of that bluff topography beginning to happen already. We're gonna see if we can get the drone up here in a second. So that is facing south, or downstream on the Mississippi River. The farthest bit of water you can see there is the main channel of the Mississippi. And then these other ponds that run on the other side of Sabula are backwaters. Those are pretty good places to fish, but I wanted to fish Spring Lake over by Savannah, Illinois. It's just an amazing thing to see bowfin and bass just cruising through those lotus jungle, and but quite tough to actually get a fish in the boat. So there's Spring Lake. We did have a lot of lily and a lot of lotus. Come back in August and September when it's in bloom, it would be quite spectacular. But it's a tough venue to fish, no doubt about it. To make a long story short, I drew several strikes from bowfin, and there were some nice bass swimming around in there too. But all of the bowfin managed to shake free. I had forgotten my bottle of catfish scent in the car, and so maybe that would have made the difference. Maybe that would have made them hold on to the fly just a little bit longer. I'm not sure. But I don't want to be the tallest thing in the Mississippi River Valley during a lightning storm, but there are some really quality fish here, and I did draw some strikes. Just somehow did not manage to seal the deal. It's just a crazy venue anyway. I mean, look at that. That's what we're fishing through. The fly is that cone head that we made earlier this year with the plumber's epoxy. It's got the fast attach clip on the back, and I've got a treble back there for gar. It's a snowy egret. It's a cattle egret, lesser egret. It's a Scrawny's snowy cattle lesser egret, I'm pretty sure. Looks like he might stay just to the north of us. Here's these ones that have the stem in the middle of the leaf. That's American lotus. These ones with the split in the leaf, that's the water lily. The lotus is also really water resistant. My nieces have recommended, as a source of superior nutrition, a fruit roll-up covered with Miguelito extra hot chamoy sauce and a dusting of tahini. Wish me luck. Now that is intense, but I like it. New favorite food. 100 out of 10. So this is the yellow oyster, Pleurotus atrinopiliatus. This is early June. We've had some rain. You'll notice it emerges from deadwood at a single point, and then from that point it branches out into these stacked clusters. I don't show it very well here, but this is of course an agaricoid or gilled mushroom. And the gills are decurrent. They run from the margin of the cap down the stem. Here we have the white-pored chicken of the woods, Laetoporus cincinnatus. This one here on the log is kind of pale. That's too old. It's beginning to turn white, and it really isn't edible anymore. The good one is this fresher one, a bright orange. Of course, it has a poison ivy. You know, we're just coming right up through it. Try to stomp that down. You can see that it is composed of a rosette of overlapping fronds. Looks like the fungus gnats have found it, but still in fairly decent shape. That's the point where you want to pick it. It has white pores, it's a polypore, white pore on the undersurface, and orange on the top. Usually emerges around stumps. There's one of those Oudmansiella, those rooting mushrooms. There you can see the root of it. Not sure about the species on that one. There's the gill attachment. Not sure about the species on this one either. One of those entelomatoid funnel type mushrooms, possibly Enteloma strictius, but not entirely sure about that. Saprotrophic mushroom. Here's Pluteus cervinus. You can see the pink spore dust kind of beginning to develop, and those non-attached gills. Found a slime mold. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? Just sort of poke at it with a stick, I guess. I mean, yeah, that is disgusting. Yeah, they're categorized as an amoeba now, not even a fungus. I did find some stemonitis in the process of releasing spores too. So another one of those strange and difficult to classify organisms.